So, with this video I decided that I was going to try to be somewhat original because I've noticed that a lot of PokeTubers have made videos about their favorite rivals or the most difficult rival, but no one really talks about the worst ones in their opinion, which is what I will be talking about in this video. I will be covering my 3 least favorite rivals in the Pokemon franchise. And before I get started, I just want you guys to remember that this is all my personal opinion that I have formed through my own experiences. And if you feel differently, let me know down in the comments. So, the first one on this list is Bede. Bede? I don't know how his name is pronounced. I just know that I hated him so much at first. I never really enjoyed kicking a rival's teeth in every time that we battled like I did with Bede, which was never really that hard since Corviknight existed, and I always found joy in sweeping his team, because Bede is the embodiment of every personality trait that I can't stand in a human being. He's smug and obnoxious. I couldn't stand him at first, always thinking that he's better than the main character, but whenever he becomes Opal's apprentice, I found it hilarious, and as the story progressed, he became less and less unbearable. And I still dislike him extremely, but I don't hate him as much as I initially did. But he is hands down the worst Gen 8 rival in my personal opinion. Now, number 2 on the list is Hau. And despite that I don't agree with most of the hate for Hop, I very much agree with the distaste people have for Hau. I have only played halfway through Sun and played through Ultra Moon once, and I don't think I'll pick it up again anytime soon purely because of Hau. The pace of those games is just way too slow, and Hau constantly slowing the pace down even more and repeating things constantly just annoyed me more than anything. And yeah, sure, Hop did the same thing in Sword and Shield, but at least Hop has an interesting personality. Hau's only redeeming quality was his Raichu. But sure, Hau is nice and laid back, but has absolutely zero personality. And I feel like if he wasn't in the game, it would be a lot more enjoyable. Now, before I get to the worst rival in my opinion, some honorable mentions. The first of which are going to be the 3 rivals from X and Y, Shauna, Tierno, and Trevor. Based off of the things that I hear about them, if I had actually played X and Y, they would have definitely beaten out Hau for the number 2 spot, because of how they literally offer no challenge and do nothing in the games. Especially with them only having a max of 3 moves. Like, what the hell was Game Freak thinking? And lastly, for the honorable mentions, I'm only going to briefly mention the only rival that I actually hate, which is Beta Blue. I'm not counting him as a real rival, purely for the sake of this video, because I can't really say much more besides the fact that I find him so obnoxious. And now on to the worst rival. Before I tell you guys who it is, don't get me wrong. I don't think he is the worst objectively. I just find him so boring and uninteresting. And for being the son of Giovanni, which I might add is literally the most interesting character trait a rival could ever possibly have. And by now, I'm sure you know exactly who I'm talking about. It's Silver. I'm honestly going to say this is mostly Game Freak's fault for butchering the script for him. His character is such a letdown. When I first encountered him in Heart Gold, right after he stole a Pokemon from Professor Elm, I was so intrigued because every rival up until that point was more or less friendly, but actually speaking to him for the first time, I lost some interest in him because I thought he would end up being a Blue 2.0. And as the story kept progressing, I lost all of my interest purely because of how aggressive he was for absolutely zero reason. Followed by when he said that the sick Pokemon in the lighthouse was useless, I was up in arms because I could never understand why he was trying to be so edgy. The lack of compassion and just being a dick for no reason made no sense to me. And later discovering that he was the son of the leader of Team Rocket in the Celebi event made me feel a little sorry for him, but I felt like it was really lame. I still don't understand why you couldn't have expanded on that in the postgame. Now, sure, you can argue that he has some major character development compared to some of the other rivals, but at the end of the game he is still way too serious for me to like him. And you can also argue that Blue is also a massive dick for no reason, but at least Blue has charisma and is cheeky enough to be funny. Silver has neither of those qualities. And now I'm sure I'm going to get disliked to hell for this opinion, but I feel like Silver is genuinely the least interesting and compelling rival that we have encountered so far, which is why, in my opinion, he's the worst. And again, if you guys feel differently, let me know down in the comments, and even tell me who you think is the worst rival. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.